Hello everyone and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. I am Captain Zelnick and today we are going to make a tutorial video about hit and run attacks. This is another one of those weird, obscure little things that doesn't happen very often, and it's kind of an underutilized resource. And I wanted to go over the specific rules involving what hit and run attacks are, when you can perform a hit and run attack, and the effects that hit and run attacks have upon an enemy vessel. Now, there are a number of ways that you can perform a hit and run attack. One, you can do what's called a teleport attack. Two, you can hit somebody with assault boats. There are a number of other ways to do hit and run attacks, but those are generally the most common. If you play as Necrons, there are, of course, the portal attacks, which also are hit and run attacks, though they have specific special rules in regards to how to do them and their restrictions. Now, if you are attempting to hit an enemy with assault boats count as attack craft, which means they are susceptible to enemy turrets and they are susceptible to enemy fighter craft or being shot down by main weapons. If assault boats touch an enemy's base and they get through the enemy's turrets, you then immediately roll 1d6 on the critical hits table and apply that effect. In effect, basically, you are dumping a bunch of specially trained individuals with a hell of a lot of explosives onto an enemy ship and hoping that they get somewhere vulnerable and valuable to knock it out by blowing something up or killing a lot of people. That is essentially, in this game, the most efficient way of disabling an enemy ship. You dump a bunch of assault boats onto a ship, especially if you're playing somebody like Chaos, or if you're playing as Tyranids, where assault boats are prevalent and plentiful, and effectively rendering enemy vessels incapable of defending themselves against your attacks. Now, there are some modifiers that apply to this if you have Space Marines or some other special rule that improves your hit and run attacks that can cause the final value of your roll to be usually +1 on the table. Note that if you roll a 1 on a hit and run attack, normally you do nothing. Basically, it means that the crew of the defending ship has repelled your attackers. Space Marines and other such ruled uh, individuals cannot fail generally, though there are some ships out there that have defenses against hit and run attacks by conveying a -1. Space Marines are a good example of this. They have that -1 to hit and run attack rule. Now, the other way to do a hit and run attack on an enemy is a teleport attack. Teleport attacks are pretty dang rare in the game because all of the requirements that are necessary for a teleport attack to happen are difficult to come by. First requirement, you must be within 10 centimeters of a target. Second requirement, the shields must be down. Third requirement, your ship must at least be a capital ship, and the enemy ship must have fewer or the same hit points as you. This effectively means you have to overcome all of those requirements to finally, in the end phase, commence a hit and run attack upon your enemy. Now, that's a lot of things to overcome, so it's not commonly done. However, it can be a difference between the loss of a ship or, saving a ship from an unwanted broadside if the enemy gets too close. So again, you must be within 10 centimeters. The enemy ship's shields must be down. You must have as much or more hit points than the target. And then you may, in the end phase, make a teleport attack, and that causes a single hit and run attack on the target. Now, there are other things you have to take into consideration. Number one, if you are about to take a bunch of hit and run attacks or even one hit or run attack you don't want to take, you may brace for impact and you will get a 4-up save against every roll on the table that the enemy gets on you. And that includes ignoring if you succeed in your brace for impact, you ignore the effect and you ignore any potential damage that comes through with the critical hit. So that is hit and run attacks. If you use a lot of assault boats, they are far more common then you may think they're very common, especially in Tyranids, especially in Chaos. They are kind of sprinkled throughout the game. You have a couple in Craft World Eldar. You have some of the Demiurge list. You have a few in the Imperial Navy, and you have a ton of them in Space Marine lists. But teleport attacks themselves, they're pretty rare. The only people that could generally be seen to do it more commonly than not are Necrons, mostly because getting close to the enemy, knocking down their shields, and making sure that you can actually do it is far more common. Another important thing, if you are reloaded or locked on, if you're on those special orders, you may still perform a teleport attack. If you have gone all ahead full, burn retros, come to new heading, or have braced for impact, you may not undergo a hit and run attack. Note, please, that portals do not follow all of those rules. So bear that in mind and be very, very careful to read the rules of your fleet in regards to hit and run attacks. Many, many, many fleets have special rules in this regard. Now, I have set up this board to give you an example of how to do hit and run attacks. Obviously, this Devastation cruiser can launch assault boats on the Lunar cruiser. The Lunar cruiser, because the Devastation's shields are down, can perform a teleport attack. These are all examples. Now, note that the Lunar is not on special orders, and neither is the Devastation. The Devastation cannot perform a teleport attack against the Lunar. Its shields are still up, unless, of course, it has a shields collapse. But that's not the point. Ultimately, there are a lot of requirements. It's very critical that you read the rules for teleport attacks carefully. All right, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all again in the next video.